Welcome back, my student. Now we study about foreign direct investment. So let's move on to the next slide. What is FDI? If you ever travel to Nashville or Alabama, somewhere in US, you may have seen the manufacturing operation of some familiar companies like Nissan and Mercedes-Benz. Or when you traveling to Jakarta, so in Jakarta, in part of maybe about 2 or 3 hours from Jakarta, that we call is Karawang. So you may also have seen the manufacturing of operation of some familiar companies like Toyota, Daihatsu, Honda. So actually these companies have made investment from the Japanese company. Or let's say when you can see that German company like BMW, so it's made an investment by the German. So now we talk about foreign direct investment or FDI. So what is FDI actually? FDI occurs when a firm invests directly in facilities to produce and or market their product or services in foreign country. Once a firm undertaken FDI, it's become multinational enterprise or M&E. There are two main forms of FDI. As we can see that greenfield investment involve establishing a whole owned new operation in foreign country. This type of investment that I told you in the earlier, which is Toyota and Daihatsu or BMW or Mercedes have. The second type of FDI is acquisition or merger with an existing firm in the foreign country. The flow of FDI refers to the amount of FDI undertaken over a given period of time. Outflows. FDI are the flows of FDI out of country, while inflows, the flow of FDI into a country. The stock of FDI refers to the total accumulated value of foreign owned asset in a given time. So what the trend in FDI can we see over the past 30 years or so? Well, there has been marked increase in both the flow and stock of FDI in the world of economy. In 1975, the outflow of FDI was about $25 billion. By 2008, it was $1.4 trillion. As you can see, there's a clear upward pattern. Why has there been such a significant increase in FDI outflows? There are several reasons for this pattern. Firms are worried about protectionist measures and see FDI as a way of getting around trade barriers. Second, changes in the economic and political policies of many countries have opened new markets to investment. Think, for example, of the change in Eastern Europe that have made it possible for foreign firms to expand there. Third, many firms see the world as their market now and so are expanding wherever they feel it makes sense. As you recall from the opening case, for example, Spain, Telefonica is pursuing opportunities in Latin America and Europe. So, for example, also in Indonesia, we call it XL. XL is pursuing opportunities in Malaysia. And then manufacturers are expanding into foreign countries to take advantage of lower cost labor or to be closer to the customer and so on. The country focus in your text on China, for example, points out that China has become a hotspot for firms that are attracted to the country low wage rate and large markets. We can also look at FDI flows in terms of percentage of gross fixed capital formation or the total amount of capital invested in factories, stores, office building, and so on. All is being equal, the greater the capital investment in economy, the more favorable in future prospects are likely to be. In other words, FDI can be an important source of capital investment which can be factored in future growth rate on economy. So in the slide 4, as you can see from this chart, there's a clear upward trend in the pattern of FDI from 1982 to 2008. As you can see also in the slide 5, as over the last decade or so, the flow of FDI have a distinct upward trend in both developed and developing countries. In the slide 6, this chart suggests that FDI has become increasingly important as a source of investment in the world economies. So what is the source of FDI? Where has all the FDI been coming from? Since World War II, the US has been the largest source country for FDI. Other important source countries include the United Kingdom, Netherlands, France, Germany, and Japan. Together, the 6 countries accounted for almost 60% of all FDI outflow from 1998 until 2006. Here you can see the cumulative of FDI outflow from 1998 to 2007. Why do firms choose acquisition versus greenfield investment? Do most firms establish greenfield operation, or do they merge or acquire existing firm? Well, most firms make the investment either through merger with existing firm or acquisition. Firms prefer this route because merger and acquisition tends to be quicker to execute than greenfield investment. It is usually easier to acquire assets than to build them from the ground up. And because firms believe they can increase the efficiency of acquired assets by transferring capital, technology, or management skill. Keep in mind that when the developing country is the target for FDI flows, merger and acquisition are much less common, probably because there are fewer firms to acquire or merge with in developing countries. Why does FDI in service occurs? Does FDI involve manufacturing? No. Over the last 20 years or so, there have been shift away from the traditional industry toward FDI in service. In 2006, for example, about 2/3 of the stock FDI was in service. Why is this trend occurring? There are 4 main reasons for the shift. First, there's a general trend in developed country away from manufacturing and towards services. Second, because services often have to be produced where they are consumed, FDI is required. After all, you can ship hot lead from Seattle to Beijing. Third, there has been liberalization of policies governing service. For example, opening its telecommunication sector to foreign companies in 1990s in Brazil. Finally, internet-based global communication not allow companies to shift activities like call center to low-cost location like India. So the next slide is about why company choose FDI, or why do firms choose FDI? Yeah. Why do firms make investment in other countries? Why don't firms just export or sign licensing agreement with a foreign company if they want to sell their product in other markets? We have alluded to some of the reasons already, but let's explore some of the theories that help us understand FDI. So, from this slide, you can read by yourself what is exporting, what is licensing, what is internationalization theory. So I have wrote notes in the below part, so you can read by yourself. And the slide 20 until 28, I will make some review question, so you can do by yourself and you can study by yourself. Thank you so much for listening my video. Have a nice day.